Hi everyone. I'm really excited to invite you to our next session of 13 Moons, our seminar series that honors the spiritual life cycle of a woman. And just as we've been exploring all of the different elements that as we move forward in our path together can eventually begin to thread our life experiences that include more of a sacred and more of a sense of integration to spirit and to nature into our everyday life, into our perspective, into who we've known ourselves to be, and into the possibility of moving forward in our life from a more, again, open and panoramic and deeply connected point of view. And so this month is on April 9th, is really devoted to the first of two parts in this process that bookends in May. And they both have to do with self-love. So, the first time we got together, we worked with remothering as re-daughters in our life experience, working with that, the first root chakra, which has to do with reconnecting to the earth element and what that means to be deeply secure and connected to a sense of home and place. The second session that we worked with last time had to do with swimming into the mystical waters of reconnection to our magical self, to the self that has the capacity to explore life from a truly enthusiastic innocence and opening up to ourselves as being limitless in that very pure way and clearing a lot of shame and restriction that unfortunately suppresses who we really are. So those particular sessions that we did really had that emphasis of us connecting with the earth deeply, like when we did journeys, we nestled ourselves up and created nests to be able to reconnect with that notion of maternal earth energy. And then when we were doing that connection to the waters, we were, again, in those journeys, we were releasing and completely engaging with that kind of element, so we just let ourselves go. But now we're moving into that place that is a moment where we need to stand up for ourselves, where we need to actually be standing very present in our lives. So again, at 13 Moons, you kind of never know what we're going to be doing as a means of connecting with those elements, those sequences of our life experience, so that we can more fully and richly empower ourselves. So this is again, from the self-love point of view, this has to do with that really connecting in and threading in with what it feels like to have truly natural self-confidence. What it feels to say, I can stand up wholly unto myself in the world, not feeling isolated, discarded, unseen, and not supported, but also not feeling like we can't be on our own. And what it feels like in that moment where we're not kind of deeply absorbed as being part of something, but being on our own, what is it that we feel inclined to want to learn? What is it we feel inclined to want to master and to explore? So that adventuresome kind of energy, that really invites a different kind of connection with the unseen world, with archetypes, which are more relatable stories at a grander scale that also speak to and energize something in ourselves. And so we're really looking at that, we're really inviting that, we want to really feel it. So I brought a prompt to this, and that is one of the things that we do in 13 Moons in this particular session is we work with that idea of bringing forth and focusing our energy. So in a lot of, again, if we look at lineages or mystical traditions, there are moments where we want to be the vessel and we want to be able to contain and be and really hold really wonderful energy, especially as women, in creating and bringing forth something. And then there's other times where we want to be more forceful, when we want to say, I really stand forth, I'm able to focus my energy, I'm able to direct it, I'm able to bless and to protect myself. And so kind of working with those spiritual tools in a way is very interesting when we're saying we want to be more effective and we want to be more potent. There's times that we're the bow and there are times that we're the arrow. We're masculine and feminine, yin and yang kind of creatures. So in this one, I call it, the reclaiming personal power. So we think about that stage in our life, like we went through the daughter, meaning sort of like that baby, fresh energy of rebirth. We worked through the little girl, that was really that fresh innocence, exuberant, young being full of interest in all that she wants to taste, feel, touch, and move forward. And now we're activating that moment where we're exploring our lives. And, some of the hallmark studies about 30 years ago, having to do longitudinally with girls, the goddess mother of all those being Carol Gilligan, wrote a very long discourse about her findings that girls had the highest self-esteem between 8 and 10 years old before they began to shift into puberty. And one of the reasons for that, as we might concur and then understand, is that because it's such an inward journey, and as we have such a profound shift in who we are inside, and then the world telling us who we can and can't be on the outside, as it relates to all of the changes that are going on into our bodies, and the way in which the culture tells us about that, we kind of lose that sense of abandon in being more interested in learning in the world and being part of the world than how to manage and navigate all of the changes not only going in inside of us, but the world is assigning to us. And we sometimes never get that back. We've done so much amazing work. I think again, if we look at the past 30 years and we look at the dialogue and we look at the culture in the Western, and certainly in the United States, that sense of really recognizing girl power, girl rising, supporting not only girls in our country to be animate and say, let's really support you in all the ways you want to be a part of a contribution in the world and have mastery. So things that used to be only able and accessible to boys, whether it was sports, athletics, thoughtful educational process, we're finding girls really leaping to it. As a matter of fact, there was a recent YouTube where Michelle Obama was talking about her devotion to education for girls and saying, you know what, boys, you got to step it up and you got to hang in there with us. Now, that is unheard of even 15 years ago. So girls have really jumped in and they've animated that more opportunistic way, and we've really supported that, which is amazing. But we also want to keep it in balance with not losing sight of and being able to nurture, nourish, and appreciate that other element inside of us, which is that deeper way of where self-esteem really derives from, where that courage to step forward in our life isn't something that we manufacture, but it's something we lean into. So again, the third chakra we're going to be exploring, which has to do with the element of fire, has to do with, again, that element of having a strong fire, but a fire that is what we call a friendly fire, contained, let's say, in a circle of stones or a container or some way that really allows the fire to infuse all of us with the vitality, with the strength, with the passion, with the courage, and how we end up connecting in ourselves with what was our experience growing up of watching our role models, our mothers, our fathers, those role models, teachers, mentors, other families around us, sisters, all of those kinds of things, brothers, who held the power, how did they hold it, how did women demonstrate power in our lives, was it covert, overt, how did we align? A lot of times we align more in that sense with our fathers because they were the ones out in the world. We wanted some of that. And what price did we pay to then feel like we were turning our back on the elements that we might say have to do with our lineage pathway as women? The other thing that I think we're moving into generationally now on the precipice of is more of a gender neutral kind of movement, which is saying, let's not even look at that. Let's just really move for a total liberation of ourselves outside of any of those boxes, which I think is again, a beautiful call to action. And to me, I think, again, we have to explore and understand where we've come from, where our mothers come from, where that ancestry of the loss of power as a culture and a collective really happens, so that we can dedicate ourselves and fully explore who we are individually and then collectively. So the name of the game for the April 9th session is going to be Girl Power, and you're going to bring your girl warrior with you, and you're going to bring a stick with you. You'll get your letter from us and all the good information I want to bring, and we can't wait to see you. And again, really watch every month when we send out our 13 moon promotional kind of expression. We have now these wonderful circles that are around our logo, and all the circles show these beautiful images that will tell you more about the month and what we're going to be doing. So look for our circle that emulates all those different facets of girls and women whole unto themselves, the Artemis energy, that fire starter, the one who runs with the wolves, and come bring her to us, and we're going to have a wonderful session.